What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? We're chilling here on whatever night this is of the week. You're getting comfortable. We're having R&B style talk. Whatever the fuck that means. Duke is gonna go get some roll of tobacco. Happy Men's Day, Kings! Oh, fuck. Sometimes I just wish that God had less of a sense of humor. Whoa, okay. I don't follow days of the week. I mean, I know the days that I have off. That's about it. So I don't talk about things like personal stuff in the videos because people use them for ID. I mean, anybody that's really motivated can find out anything about anybody. So it's not like a secret or something like that. Anybody that wants to know anything about me, like, there's no fucking privacy. But in terms of just, principle of the thing, I don't talk about personal identifying stuff, at least as minimally as possible. Alright, we're going on. I mean, I guess it's not really an obstacle, it's just like I don't want to like fucking hand it to people, you know what I mean? They're gonna find it. They're gonna find whatever they want. Alright, now I felt really motivated to make a stream. I don't remember what I was gonna talk about though. It's a weird time, man. I got some emails. People send me emails that really help out with pointing out shit. One of the emails that I got, which should be interesting to discuss. Or we can talk about several. We can talk about several emails and maybe flesh out a greater point, or give you a resolution of a site that I got one email. I guess first we should discuss. Okay. So I got one email. Will be the Trump, the Million MAGA rally with the first we come for the blacks, then the Indians. This is the New World Order sign, or whatever it says. Something very similar to that. Or then the Indians. This is the New World Order. So there was a news bit on Fox News. No, I missed the news conference. So there was a Fox News bit where they're having an interview and they have overlay footage of a live rally, a Million MAGA rally or whatever. And then, it's like, I'm going to tell you what happens. The cameraman, whoever's filming that live thing, suddenly has like a fucking in the heat of the moment, a jolting, very similar to what I would do if I was trying to fucking make data to do a like a handle tie-in for simulating a handheld or something like that. Like, so when people are trying to make something in the moment with the camera, they'll like fucking jiggle the camera ridiculously. This is what the camera guy does, and then he zooms in on the fucking sign, goes out of focus a little bit, goes in focus, and then the sign says, it's like some guy holding a huge sign up, and it says, we're coming for the blacks, then the Indians. This is the new world order. Then the host, moves on. Then the host like stops the show on Fox News to talk about the sign and how disturbing it is. This is what happened, right? This is the whole thing, right? So I don't know how you feel about stuff like this when you see it. When I see that, I mean, I see nothing at all except propaganda. That is all I see. And I see a level of propaganda that people of the world are not comfortable with accepting. Like people are not comfortable with accepting that, somebody could be out there with a sign that is made for you to see it. People are not comfortable. They're basically not comfortable with being 2 steps removed from an idea. And that has to do with the way that they're trained to just eat out of the trough like a dog in terms of information. And it's very difficult, if you look at the world, let me try to, it's a hard concept to explain if you haven't sat down and put it into words to look at. But, so if I want you to do something, right, I could tell you to do it, and then what would affect, what is the war game there? When I tell you to do something, what is the war game of whether or not you choose to do it, right? So if I suggest to you, you should do this, you should do XYZ, and then you think about it, right? Well, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to think about if it makes logical sense, first of all. Then you're going to think about what the purpose of it is, and it's usually going to be related to yourself. So you're usually going to be like, why would I want to do that? This person's suggesting that I do that. Why would I want to do that, right? And then your brain's going to search for reasons why you would want to do that. And then you're going to go, well, who is this person that's telling me to do it, and why do they want me to do it, right? Now, this all happens in a blink of an eye, and most of it is subconscious, beneath the level of consciousness. But it's the way that people make decisions in relation to other people, in relation to stimuli from other people. I mean, approximately. Of course, you'd have conscious thought. Like the general animal brain making choices, that's how it works. So then if that's how it works, then the decision, the thing either has to be, depending on who the person that's telling you that, right? Whoever's telling you that, if you trust them, like if you think they're your bro, or if you think they have your best interest, then there's a chance that you could go out on a limb even though you don't see the benefit, and you could be like, well, I trust this person telling me this, so I'm going to go out on a limb. If you don't trust the person, then you go, okay, I don't trust this person, they're telling me to do this, then my tendency becomes to do the opposite, is more likely, right? And this is how it works, right? Or to view it critically, at least, right? To not do it, if not do the opposite. And so, if I want you to do something, and I don't want you to think about who I am, I don't want you to consider it at any time, including when I tell you to do the thing, or afterwards, when you reflect on the consequence of what it is that you've done over time, like the continuous stream of choices that you're made, and where the suggestion for making those choices came from. If I don't want you to reflect on that ever, then the best way to do it is to get you to do it through a reaction. Instead of suggestion, have you do it through a reaction. So how do I do that? Well, I have to work backwards. So I have to take the things that I want you to do, and I have to go, what are all the scenarios where a person does these things because there's not a better choice? Like in what situations are these things, XYZ, that I want this person to do in what situation are these the most rational choice to make and the quickest choice, like the shortest distance between A and B? Then what I do is I go, okay, if the situation was, you know, Z, then they're going to do X, Y, Z, right? Okay, can I make the situation Z? And if not, can I make it appear that it's Z? And if the answer is yes, then I say, how do I make it appear that way? Well, I do, you know, whiskey. I drink whiskey. I do the whiskey maneuver, right? And then now they think that Z is actuality, and then they perform XYZ in reaction. Now, when they do this, the entire time, psychologically, a person does not perceive where the suggestion came from, because you never came to him and said, hey, do XYZ. You never did that. You get what I'm saying? And so when people see this Fox News bit, what the general public sees is, you know, if you're like a retard Republican and you're watching it, and you're probably thinking something like, when you see a sign, it's like, first we're coming after the blacks, then the Indians, this is the New World Order. You probably look at it and you're just like, the first thing that you do is you go, oh man, I can't believe that there's people like that. They need to pipe down. I mean, can't they see that we're struggling here to get by? Like, we're trying to we got Biden in office. Come on, we all got to stick together here, you know. Then the second thing that they're going to think is like, New World Order. What? This is all jumbled up. I don't even know what this is. This New World Order stuff is crazy. That's the second thing that they're going to do, right? Because it doesn't even make any fucking sense. The sign, that is. But the way they should be looking at it is, who the fuck is Fox News? Who the fuck is Fox News? Who the fuck is the anchor that responded to the sign? Who the fuck is the cameraman? And who the fuck is the guy holding the sign? And who the fucking made a Million MAGA march? That is what you should be looking at. And that is what you should see for the camera. You shouldn't see cameras like they're your own little mistakes that you make all day with your attempt to use a fucking cell phone camera. You shouldn't think about that with Fox News, because that is not what's going on. Fox News is not jumbling through their day from one fuck up to the next, like barely remembering to tie their shoes, and then just like, oh, here's a shot. Like, oh, we got this sign on here. Whoops. Wow, that's inconvenient. That is not what Fox News is doing. Fox News is a multi-million-dollar organization that's been around for decades, and they're run by Jews. And their staff is mostly Jews, and a lot of their fucking anchors are Jews, just like CNN. And the people that run Fox News are Jews. Now, if you say Murdoch, if you're going to bring up Murdoch, obviously, like, he's a Zionist. But he's not the only fucking person that's running Fox News. He's the bag boy, right? And these are the questions that people should ask when they see signs like that. Because this is exactly what's going on. This is why I see propaganda, and I realize the threshold that the American people have to step over psychologically and spiritually, just to understand what's going on, is a quantum leap. It's beyond what they're willing or comfortable with even accepting in a framework to even consider. They can't get to the point where they can even consider it, because they're so naive and so comfortable in their enslavement that they're just like, that could never be the case. I can't even look at it. You know, it's a path that I can't even look down. Now, I guess another email that we should talk about that's approximately related. So somebody sent me an email, wholehearted email, and they were asking about the fucking like the big picture scheme, particularly with finance. And what they were asking was like, if we're going to be enslaved, why do they want to get rid of everybody, you know, and why do let's see, what were the questions? Probably gonna butcher this. Why do they want to get rid of everybody? Why do they want to why do they want to if the money, right? So they're like, well, if they now own all the money and if the people don't have any money anymore because it's been like extorted slowly through taxation, then if they have everything, then they have everything, and like, what do they need us for, you know? So, and this is a great question. It's a fantastic question because it's very common in the perspective. It's a very common perspective. One of the most difficult things to understand is that money, as a technology, no matter what era or century you're talking about, it's a weapon. It's not for you. It's not like some jingles in your pocket that are like there to help you out. It's a weapon, and it always has been. There's never been a time where it wasn't a weapon. The invention of money is only a few thousand years old. People were around before money. Money is the conduit of centralizing energy and enslaving people in all cultures, in all centuries. And the history of money, if you study specie, like specie coin, which is prior to fiat or paper money, banknotes, which are prior to digital currency and credit cards and debit cards and shit like that. If you study money and its history, then you'll come to understand that there's never been a time where money outlasts its society, right? Like it just keeps playing musical chairs. One worthless currency to the next gets changed out as it collapses. So you got your Roman coins, which is very, you know, like Roman coins lasted a fucking while. There's a lot of them. You got lots of emperors on those coins, but they're worth pretty much fuck all now. And there's a reason why. It's because when those coins were around, you could probably walk around, you know, handing them out for blowjobs. But you can't do it now unless it's a crazy person that you're giving it to and they're really into collecting coins for the numismatic value. Collector coins for blowjobs. But that's unusual, right? They don't have the same kind of immediate value that they used to have, right? But they did once, right? Like at one time, the coins had a significant value. Like you would hold up, I'll bet you if you went back to Rome and you held up some, like during the peak of Rome, if you held up, I don't know what emperor that would be, probably prior to Caesar. When you hold up in terms of imperial power, when you hold up the Roman coin, I'll bet back then people would be like fucking fixated on it with their eyes, like thinking about all the things that they could buy with it, right? Like it just had an extreme Augustus, thinking that it had an extreme value associated with it, right? And it did. And then what happened? Where did it go? The coin is still there, right? But the energy is gone. You see what I mean? Now what's physical there? What's physical are the people that were alive then, and the physical coins still exist. But the ratio of value is gone, right? It's gone. Where did it go? Well, just like that's the case, it's always the case. Just like it was the case in Rome, that you can't go buy your Big Mac or whatever trash you eat with Roman coin. You can't go do that today. Or your fucking McFlurry for dark. I love those McFlurries. Just like you can't go buy a fucking McFlurry with a Roman coin today. In the future, all this money that people think is a big deal now is going to be fucking worthless. But where did all the energy go that established the value of the coin to even make it appropriate to buy anything in the first place? Where did that energy go? Or hold that thought. Just stir these patches on the ceiling. for a sec. I got the G26 with the fucking red dot. All right, sorry about that. I really need to get my shit together better so that I'm not like fucking going on gas station breaks while I'm doing the live streams. We're just grabbing some fuel. Just grabbing some fuel here. One moment, please. Oh. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so where were we? So we were talking about the value of money and how it is fleeing, right? That's what we were discussing. And so back to the question, the original email question. This is the entire essence of what needs to be understood is that the money never had any value, ever. It was never yours. It was never yours to possess. You may get a little cheap, spendex here and there, but ultimately the only way that it exists and the way that it functions and the reason that it loses value is because what money is a technology, is it is stealing the physical energy from your people, from your hands, from your families, and it's harvesting it in mass, and then it plays musical chairs to the next currency. And this is the difficult thing to understand that people have a really hard time with, because everybody is captivated by a system where they don't have any choice but to participate in the money system, right? Like, if you don't participate in it, you're going to be homeless in a tent, and then you're just going to get, like, cops are basically going to come around and, like, poke you with sticks and stuff, or shoot you with suppressed M4s. One of the two. So anyway, just gonna turn on the vehicle to drive. Okay. Man, this bitch is going rough. Okay. So anyway, so the whole thing that you have to understand, they don't want to kill you all, right? Because you can't. It's not that they want to kill you all. They want you to be there. They want you to be here. They have to make you want to be enslaved. Do you get it? Like, you can't rule a whole planet under a world government. Man, you are slow as fuck. You can't rule a whole planet with a world government if everybody's dead. You have to have everybody alive and fucking on board and willingly accept the system, right? That's what you have to get a world government. So if they killed you, that's the opposite, right? That's the opposite of what they really want. Now you can't have a bunch of people that are administratively compartmentalized in order to rule you, if instead of ruling, they're always paying attention to, like, where am I going to get my next meal? Where do I get this? Where do I get that? They can't rule you if they're thinking about that. Somebody else has to do all that shit for them so they can rule. When you form a world government, that's a shitload of fucking people in that apex system. Like, you have the billions of people on the planet. They all need to be ruled over. You can't have one guy do that. I mean, you can at the apex. You can't have it administratively. You have to have everybody on the same page and shit. Well, that's a lot of people that have to do, delegated subtasks to rule, that don't have time to be like, fucking harvesting grain and fucking skinning a deer and shit like that. They don't have time for that shit. You see what I mean? And so that, hopefully that kind of answers that question on that email. I just put it, my first dip that I had here is really weak. We're gonna augment that with a fatty lipper. It really raises the question sometimes, are there even any nations? Like, are there any nations left? Like, at least right now. I mean, obviously there's nations left in the gene pools, but I mean, you could argue that there is nothing that isn't capitulated. At least right now. At least right now, right? Now, as long as blood is still there, you could still have nations. Like, they can always wake up and consolidate. All the resources that have built everything that has ever been here are still here. So, like, even though it seems like there are, fucking Apache helicopters and fucking facial recognition and fucking banking cards and all this shit, all that stuff had to get built up from what's already here. You know what I mean? It's knowledge and reorganization of material and systems off of systems. Just like a computer is just a bunch of, a computer is just a bunch of fucking switches. That's all it is. What you see when you're on this phone or computer watching this live stream is an illusion. It's a representation through pixels, and it's so manipulated and a high resolution that your brain sees that it's seamless. I mean, in my case, you're not gonna see it like it's seamless because I'm gonna fucking like cut out all the time and shit and get crazy fucking 144p. But in terms of the design of YouTube, it's supposed to be seamless. know. But underneath all that is just a bunch of fucking switches and a bunch of little flashy lights, and that's it. And it's only when you build one on top of the other and put them together in a certain way that you can present an illusion that's then, you know, surpasses the detection of like consciousness to become something seamless where a person's not even thinking about the media or the medium, and they're just seeing like the message or whatever. But all those things, the silicone and its source, all those things just come from things from the earth. Guess we gotta plug this bad boy in. That's what we got. Let's see. So you could always have. There's always the chance of a restart, right? Of like a people coming together and being conscious. It's always possible. All the necessary ingredients are there, and they can't be taken away. You see what I mean? Like the creator, like you're created. The world is created. It's a creation. All the ingredients are always there for you to be spontaneous and be independent and be a people. Now I watched Facone sent me a video. There's some guy, I apologize, I forget his name. I think it's McGregor or something like that. He does a lot of conspiracy-oriented stuff. I don't know if he's an Aussie or what. I don't know what he is. But anyway, he sent me a video. The title was something along the lines of Trump and Bibi break up. And I started to watch. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did watch quite a bit of it, and I thumbed through a lot of it. And I like that guy. I like that guy's material, but you know, I have some issues with some of the things that he says. Most of them are just general outlooks, like his summation of like the sizing up of the football field here. I think he has some errors in the teams and some errors in the rules of the game and things like that. And so it's not really a fault against him, because I mean, what the fuck is he gonna do? Go look at the encyclopedia of actuality? There's a big old possum where they look like a monkey. So one of the things that he says in the video, so one of the things that he discusses a lot about, you know, he brings up that tech is going to be moved out of California and put into Texas. And this is true. Like, this is all true. And that through that change, he believes that that's, like, you know, it's going to be sent to Israel to strengthen Israel at the detriment of the United States. Probably also true. It's probably also true. What he thinks, though, is that he thinks that there needs to be Israeli Jews and American Jews, and that American Jews need a reinforcing pat on the back of like, we got you, you're good. You know, we got you, you're good. Don't worry about it. Like, you just need to focus on what's right and stop, you know, Israel's the enemy of the United States. And this needs to be more vocalized. He wanted to be more vocalized. And as the examples he was citing like anchors from Fox News and shit like that. Like about how Fox News needs to be promoted to start voicing dissidents against Israel. So I guess a couple of things. Probably we'll go like least hardcore to most hardcore in responding to this, right? Just to kind of give an idea of my perspective and like, you know, where I'm at in relation to the guy's thoughts and material. Is that guy's name McGregor? Is that what his name is, or what's his name? You know who I'm talking about? Yeah, Trump's appointed somebody called Israel in the past. Yeah. O'Connell. Okay. O'Connell, thank you. I knew it was some Irish name. Or Scottish, or that would be Irish. O'Connell. Yeah, I knew it was an Irish name. So, you know, the Irish are really interesting. There's a lot of theory. There's some theories about some of the tribes being in Ireland, like old Ireland, from like the original kings in Ireland. But that's a whole nother ball of wax there. We're not getting into that. Not related to this. It has no relation to that, no bearing at all. I was just. So I guess on the least hardcore in addressing this. So sorry, I'm trying to gather my thoughts here while driving down this road and seeing all these animals. So so first of all, he wants Fox News, you know, like obviously this man is not. I mean, you have to let's look at this practically, right? Or I guess we're gonna skip all the hardcore stuff. We're just gonna have to deal with this thing like one giant bite. So the situation is with the U.S. media. What the situation is that you have the technology of the camera comes out, and it gets parallel discovery in both in America and in I think it's France is the other one, where you get parallel discovery of the photograph, and then from that you get films and shit like that. And the first pornography is coming out of Germany from the Jews. That's like the fucking first thing that they're gonna do with it is make pornography, right? Of course, right? Then because of the situation in California, which is destroyed now, like California's completely destroyed. It's one of the coolest places in the United States. It's completely fucking destroyed now. I mean, you're not gonna be able to clean that place until like something, you know, all the people are gone and it's just land again. In California, you have all the major motion picture studios set up, you know. They're all Jewish, if you didn't know that. Nothing controversial there. Sorry, I just got interrupted here by my phone. So all the Hollywood studios have, from their inception, from the creation, from the development of the medium of motion picture, have been Jewish. Okay? And film has really never been neutral. Like film as a medium, I mean, nothing is neutral, right? You can't be neutral on a moving train. But particularly film, because of the level of investment, especially in its infancy, the level of investment, the level of labor that's involved, it's like you're not gonna use that to just do some like beautiful art most of the time. And if you are, you're gonna fucking pay to get your message put into it as subliminally as possible or as directly as possible. So film's never been neutral. Going into the advent of news, like news media, the MSM, it is a total fucking propaganda package and always has been. It's all it's ever been. The difference between now and the infancy of news is that in the infancy of news, you had a bunch of goy in there, and they have no idea what the fuck is going on, and so they're fucking double dipping their, like they're thinking that they're just like, people in news. They think that they're like important to be like an anchor, and like they just do a really good job, and that's why they're there. No thought about the hierarchy of how it's constructed or the amount of money that goes into it as an investment or what the ROI is, like the actual ROI. They only view it as like money. They're like, oh, well, they get money back. It's money. It's a matter of money, matter of profit. I already told you, we already discussed how money doesn't even fucking exist. Money is not, there is no fucking profit model. This is like the only thing that's more ridiculous than the Jews are Americans. I'll tell you that American goy are the only thing that is more outrageous and ridiculous than Jews. Now, the news anchors, like in the infancy of media and of MSM and shit like that, you have all these dumbass fucking goy in there, and they have no fucking clue what time it is. Not only do they not know what time it is, they don't even know what a clock is. You know what I mean? Like they look at a clock and they'd be like, "Ooh, what a beautiful dish," with the fucking linear strokes on it. That's really appeases my my eyeballs here. Just gazing upon this dish. They don't even know what a fucking clock is, let alone how to read time. So they're just all in there, like competing with each other and making like parallel stories of like, why they're doing what they're doing and how great, I mean, all it does is serve to obfuscate what is really going on there, which is a bunch of people are competing for money in a society, and then they're, somebody's like, here's a bunch of money, come do this. Just like everything else. But they don't have free reign to just say whatever. They can't just get up there on the camera and just pull their dick out of their pants. They have to follow a fucking program. You know what I mean? Like, there's a fucking program there, and they have to follow it. And over the years, it has been peeled back to where they don't have to be so subliminal. They don't have to cater to your cultural nuances and preferences anymore. They can just show you video of like transvestites raising your children, and you guys are like, oh, I guess this is the way that it is now. This is very cultured, and they get away with it. Like they don't have to fucking be afraid of like, oh, they're gonna know that we're we can't go too hard too fast. We have to like slip in some fucking Mr. Rogers in here so they think it's wholesome. They don't have to do that anymore. That's why you are now seeing and detecting that the media is like fucked up. It's always been fucked up. They just had to sell you something first to get you hooked. I'm gonna park here for discussion. So anyway, I felt like that was a nuanced thing that I had to talk about, because when you discuss it and you say it out loud, then people are like, oh yeah, that was in the back of my head the whole time. I just couldn't think about it. That's because because you're brainwashed. And you're just revealing the deeper levels of your consciousness when you start to recognize and see things that you already saw and accept them or whatever. So anyway, like Fox News, CNN, all these things, what you have to understand is that what's really going on here is that you have had an entire fucking industry that has informed your population and changed your culture. And it hasn't been for the fucking better. It's been incredibly fucking destructive and completely counter to your interests. Yet, people still fucking watch it because they're all retards. And people are unable to rationalize like anything from an ethical basis of like what's good and what's bad. It's like if you can get boiling frogged into like being tricked into being a murderer, then you're probably not that great of a person anyway. You know what I mean? Like your ethic, your basis of ethic is the foundation. If it's not there, it'll be corroded away. And that's exactly what's happened. And that reveals like the greater spirit of the general population, which is, you know, not great. It's not not a positive thing. And the fact that they can be boiling frogged into like, you know, being tricked into fucking socialism is like, even, you know, it just lends to that recognition. Like, you shouldn't be able to be tricked into it all. Our great grandfathers should have fought a war over this in the fucking first place. That it's gone this far is almost like, well, why'd you let us take it this far if this isn't what you want? You know what I mean? In a way. I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Now, and so in terms of O'Connell saying like, hey, Fox News, like, you know, Fox News needs a voice. Fox News doesn't need to do anything. What you need to do is recognize that these are absolutely corrupt institutions. They're not reflective of the American population. They're propaganda tools. They shouldn't be used at all. They're entirely dangerous, and they should all be destroyed, utterly destroyed. And the people that work there should be expelled from the United States, regardless of who they are or what their motive was, whether they're a dumbass goy or a subversive Jew that's running the motherfucker, or the fucking financial arms that fund them. They should be kicked out of the United States for running propaganda in the United States. Period. It doesn't matter who they are. Right? If they participated, then they're complicit. Right? Now, maybe that's not what the American people want. Maybe the American people don't want to have a nation. Maybe that's it. That's fine. I'm not here to tell you what to do. If you don't want to have a nation and you want to be enslaved, then by all means. I'm not going to stop you, and I'm not going to tell you it's wrong or that's what you willingly want to do. I mean, it is, but I'm not going to put in any energy to try to turn you in a different direction than what you want to do. But if you're going to keep on saying that you have a nation and that you're free and shit like that, you kind of have to do some accountability and some self-auditing here and account for how you got from A to B. Like, how did you get from, like, you know, fucking 1950s television programming with like, what is that show? Somebody help me out here. What is that show where they have a like a guest, and then they take celebrities and have them ask questions to determine who the guest is? You know what show I'm talking about? In the 1950s? No, it's like a game show. They get celebrities and they sit in a panel, and they bring in, what's my line? Is it What's My Line? It's a black and white show. They bring in they bring in a panel of celebrity guests, and they have like people that they're usually like historical figures or something like that, and then they have to guess. Hang on. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I've got a secret. SY18. SY18. Thank you. I've got a secret. How the fuck did American programming get from I've got a secret to like fucking like whatever? I mean, I don't even know what kind of satanic shit is on television now. American Idol and like, you know, fucking, you know, somebody please have a bunch of people have sex with my bachelorette daughters or whatever it is, like prior to marriage or whatever. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what, you know, transvestites in the library reading kids' books. Like, how the, you know, you have to have a historical account of like how you got from A to B, and just saying that people are, like, diversified in their fucking outlook is not gonna cut it. Like, that is not a appropriate explanation. There is too big of a swath of change there to be accounted for by just, like, oh, there was just a second enlightenment. Yeah. Okay. That's not what happened. This is more extreme than that. Now, the best I've Got a Secret, the best episode of I've Got a Secret is the one with Jacobson. So, and it's fucking great. I love it. It's like the most Jewish episode out of all of them. So they get Mr. Jacobson, who's Harry S. Truman's haberdashery business partner from Kansas City prior to Harry Truman becoming the president, right? And this guy has such balls that he comes on to I've Got a Secret so he can brag about his association of the president of the United States, because back then, like, it wasn't as common for Jews to be like that high up, you know what I mean? To be like friends with the president. It wasn't a thing. In California, the private schools didn't allow Jews, like in the past, right? So Jews had to make their own schools, and that's where you really get like the crazy Ivy League stuff. Anyway, on I've Got a Secret with Jacobson, all the panelists, they, is the person a man, blah blah blah, is he the president? They ask a bunch of questions, and they get to Jacobson saying, like, I worked at haberdashery with Harry S. Truman prior to presidency. Obviously, this is like after Truman's presidency, so he's famous and stuff, right? Necessarily to even have it be a point of the show. Harry S. Truman isn't that great, though, unfortunately. But what's really significant, I think it's like the APAC has a YouTube channel where they have a video of Jacobson's daughter talking about the significance. It's like, it's all bragging, right? Like, there's just no humility. Bragging about how her father got Harry S. Truman to recognize the state of Israel. And the story is like, I mean, to me, it's like, I wouldn't even tell the story because I would be embarrassed about it, because it's not like a heroic story. It's like a very humanistic story that is really makes you like sad for people, because the story is basically that, Harry S. Truman had this business partner named Jacobson, and he was a very they were very straight-laced and very professional in how they ran their business just to stay afloat, to be like successful. And then Jacobson never asked Harry Truman for anything, ever. Like, wouldn't ask for any personal favors or anything. That's something that's very commendable, right? Like people that burn favors and ask shit all the time, it's very, it's very, and there's nothing wrong with asking a favor, but it's just a very, you really get the impression from the background that Jacobson is like not selfish, right? Now, where this becomes a Jewish thing is because Jacobson calls in a favor to Harry S. Truman to recognize the state of Israel. And it's the only thing that he ever asked Truman. So, like, when Jacobson shows up at the White House, Truman knows that it's like something very significant. Well, prior to this, one of the like founding Zionists, I can't remember if it's Chaim Weissman or who. Somebody's been like lobbying the president and like beating down his fucking door to try to get him to recognize the state of Israel for the Zionists, and like Truman's like had enough. He's like, nope, like, I'm not talking to you, and he like fucking kicks the guy out of the White House for his presidency. And then so they go and find out that Jacobson is Truman's old business partner, and they get Jacobson to go in there and fucking ask him to recognize Israel. And then Truman does it on behalf of his business associate Jacobson. Now they're telling this story on whatever, I think it's APAC. It's either APAC or ADL, their YouTube channels where they put this video on. They're putting it on there. So what they're like, where they're coming from and their perspective is they're saying that the state of Israel is so important that this man that was so humble and never asked for anything went out of his way to cash in the favors that he would never ask, saved them all up, and then asked him to recognize the state of Israel. That's what they're saying, and that's how they see that it's noble, right? What it really is that the Jews shouldn't have a state because they're not supposed to serve wood and stone, and they'll never be as the nations, ever. And in their attempt to do so, they had a man destroy his relationship with another man in their business relationship by asking a favor on behalf of people that are doing what they're not supposed to be doing anyway. And that's the real story there. And it's not a proud story, and it's not a happy story. Anyways, how do we get from I've got a secret to whatever is the programming now? There's a huge jump there. Obviously, there has to be some account there. And the American public is so brainwashed that they just have a functional error there. Like they're unable to compute. Like how did this happen? How did we get there? They're unable to compute or to account. On one hand, you will have the MSM propaganda pumped so hard that it goes in the fucking ears of people and spills out their mouths. And they go into their internet forums or their comment sections and they talk about how, we need to be an inclusive society and have, representation and You have no representation. Not only do you have no representation, you have a fucking ridiculously absurd over-representation of Jews in your fucking executive government and your fucking legislative government and your fucking municipal and state governments. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. And they can't even bring themselves to account for it. You could go through and you could say who is Jewish, who is a Jew, and who is not a Jew, and then you could look at it and add it all up, and you could say this is far beyond any proportion that should be represented in the society, based on the principles that are even invoked here in the first place to even necessitate a government. You can't have a representative government if you have some extreme minority making up the bulk of the government and the powerhouse of the government. I mean, obviously, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be a Jew. It could be anybody. It'd be like if you just had fucking transvestites, because transvestites are like, a very minimal percentage of the population. And if you just had trannies all over the place in the executive branch, you can't just be like, well, it's an inclusive society that's representative people and is fair. How is it fair if you have a minor fucking percentage of the population like doing the powerhouse staffing of your fucking government? How is that fair? You see what I'm saying? How is it fair? Does that mean you have anything against transvestites if you see that? No. It means that it doesn't necessitate that. What it necessitates is that you are accounting for reality. Well, the American public is not at the place where they can account for reality. They are in Stockholm syndrome. They are their own worst enemy. They refuse to account for the staffing of the government. They refuse to account for how the government expanded and became the shape that it is now. And they refuse to account for how that has no accountability with the American population, how you don't vote for it. You don't vote for any of the independent executive agencies, yet they step all over every elected entity that you vote for. They have more power than who you vote for, and there's no account for it. Everybody's just like, oh, at some point along the line in history, government just got too complex, and we don't worry about that now. We just let Google archive everything. We just let Google manage all of our passwords, so that then, it's easier, and then we can focus on the bigger picture, like the important things, like who do I feel is the best candidate here, It's much easier. They call that exactly what the fuck they're trying to turn the future of governments into, which is called participation without populism. That's what they call it. That's what the fucking rich controllers that don't even have a job, just have a bunch of money, when they go around and do talks at civic seminars, they talk about it like that. I agree. Somebody says that the American public is so lost that if success hinges on them, everything's lost. And you're exactly right. You're exactly correct. Now what I should say is that since I was just highly critical of, I'm not highly critical of O'Connell. It's just this opinion of like what, if you have the a media apparatus that is not representative of the people and that has private funding from the world government and is slowly shifting society into a different direction that isn't even logical, it's just destructive. And if all the people involved in it are Jews, then maybe you should stop working with them. Maybe you should stop expecting things and asking for things and asking for help. And for the Jews, it should be like, you should also look at it like all of the Jews didn't say anything about it the whole time, right? Like there's nobody out there talking about how Fox News is filled up with Jews, or CNN is filled up with Jews. There's hardly any Jews that are out there saying that. There are some. It's pretty rare, right? You got a vast majority of Jews just sit there in silence and just watch it. They just watch it happen. They hope that it's going to end up fulfilling purpose, right? That's what they're hoping. I got a bad news for you. It's the opposite of that. And in the Tanakh, it says so. You should fucking read it. And it says that you're going to do all this shit. It says that you're going to do all this stuff. It says all this stuff. There are rabbinic commentary on the Zohar that state that in the end of days, that all of the nations will be ruled by the Erev Rav, and that they will have control of all nations, and they will be the most powerful force in human history. It says that. They say that. In the Tanakh, in the prophecies that the Jews don't like to accept, because they like to accept the ones that support the Erev Rav, but not the other ones, it clearly states that you're going to build high places at every street. On the corner of every street, you'll have a high place. It says that. It says that you will go like your ancestors, following idols. It says that. And you know what it says? It says that it will be overturned. It says that your high places will come crashing down. So why is there any kind of confusion on this? I don't understand. Now the goy are going to suffer. Like, don't get me wrong, but the goy have been suffering this entire time. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta like the Jews look at the diaspora and they think that they're suffering because they're in spiritual and national exile, and so they only see that, and they don't look at like Imagine being a people that has no history. Imagine having no root at all. Like at least you have a root. Imagine not knowing even who your great grandfather was. Imagine just the only thing you have to look forward to is like smoking crack cocaine in an alley somewhere, and that's like the height of your existence. Imagine imagine being like just having like generation after generation turn into fucking skeletons in war, with fucking holes in their skulls, being buried in foreign lands and never never being able to build anything. Like imagine all of that. It's a lot of suffering, needless suffering. It's a lot. So anyway, the point being, coming back into trying to get focused here, pulling in the streams here. You don't need to talk to Fox News, Mr. O'Connell. You need to disown Fox News, and you need to promote other people from disowning Fox News, and not just Fox News, every media outlet. If it's not a guy walking around just like filming shit and saying whatever's on his mind, then it's not natural. and it has a tie-in to the control apparatus that's destroying your nation, regardless of who you are, regardless of the nation, because there's practically no nations right now. Now, O'Connell then states that he believes that Trump was a fluke. Trump's not a fluke. Okay, he says he thinks Trump getting elected was just like a fluke, a dangerous fluke, and now they're trying to correct that. Now he does acknowledge, he says that Trump is the right hand of Goldman Sachs and Biden's the left hand. Yeah, that's true. That's true. The difference, and then he says the difference between Trump and Biden is that Trump doesn't like to be told what to do. See, I disagree with that. I think Trump loves to be told what to do. And what you have to understand, what the true difference between Trump and Biden is, the true difference, and the reason that Trump does not have a breakup with Netanyahu is because Trump is directly fucking tied into the Rothschilds. He has a fucking bow around his head. He is mainlined to the Rothschilds. Now the Rothschilds built Israel. So the state of Israel, if you don't know this, is built by Rothschild House. That is why in Tel Aviv there's a Rothschild Boulevard. That is why there's a Rockefeller historical museum with like ancient Egyptian artifacts and shit. That is why there's a painting with Jacob Rothschild in the Knesset. Huge oil painting showing Jacob Rothschild planning the building of the Supreme Court with a model with some other founding Zionists. And he's like pointing at it like, yeah, build it like this. And it's in a fucking oil painting in the lobby. It's because Jacob Rothschild owns Israel and created it. Now, if Jacob Rothschild owns Israel, and if Israel has Biden by the nuts, whether it be directly tied to Israel or through the other connection through the banks, which also serve Israel. I mean, it's not Israel. They serve Rothschild House, essentially. But if all those lines go back to the same point, and if Trump is closer to the point than Biden, then that means that is the difference. That Trump is closer to the origin of energy that is guiding this entire thing. And he is. He certainly is. Yeah, there is no. So if you didn't understand this, to make it clear, right? So Israel, the nation, is holding hostage the Jewish people. If you didn't know that, this is why you can see video of Orthodox Jews wrestling in the street with fucking whatever their police are. This is why. This is why Israel has like gay pride parades in Tel Aviv. This is why all the perplexing things that you see about Israel, you see, because Israel, the state, is not Israel the people, nor is it Israel the nation. Israel is the state, the modern state that you know as Israel, is a hostage taker. They're holding the land hostage and the people hostage. That is the reason that Jews that move back to Israel have a very difficult time when they get back to Israel from a foreign nation, have a very difficult time leaving Israel and going somewhere else. Once they get there, it's like the Hotel California. They never leave. Spiritual Israel, are you talking about the mirrored Israel and the other place? Is that what you're talking about? What are you talking about? Well, what about it? I've never been there. Somebody got a 403R. Hopefully you get an aftermarket mount for it as quickly as possible. Yeah, no, that's a great. Okay, that was our next point. So anyway, so let me consolidate this point. So if you don't know this, the entire state of Israel and its like tentacles that go into the rest of the world and fucking putting the entire world down the drain. That is a forgery of Israel. It is not only is it discussed in prophecy in Tanakh very clearly, and not only is it known about that this is what's happening, it has nothing to do with the Jewish people. So the state of Israel, the Rothschild house, that intermingles with the United States and, has so much sway on the world and all this stuff, this has nothing at all to do with the Jewish people. And the Jews that think that it does are very lost. Just to make that clear. And so the entire argument that was really launched in 2017, which is it was the centennial of the Balfour Declaration that was attended by Theresa May and a bunch of other shitheads with Jacob Rothschild sitting in the front, fourth Baron, sitting in the very front with his silly silhouette. You can spot him from a mile away in the bottom of the camera. Sitting in the front, like rolling out their new plans of how they're going to manipulate the world and control language and shift the world into a fucking terrifying new direction. And they discuss all these things at the Balfour Declaration along with Netanyahu and the other usual suspects. And they come out and they say there's a new pernicious form of anti-Semitism, where they pretend that they use their anti-Semitism to question that the state of Israel should exist. Pernicious form of anti-Semitism, where they're hiding their anti-Semitism. and how that comes back in the United States. You know, the DHS in its most recent white paper defines white supremacy as people who question if the world is run by Jews. I mean, how specific of a clause like that? I mean, if you fucking buy that, you're a fucking idiot. I mean, it's definitional in its construction, in logic. Like, how is there anybody going around like saying like the Africans run the world or anything like that? Well, people have been trying to say that the Jews are taking over the world for like a fucking 1,000 years. You know what I mean? And you're gonna have this little white paper from your DHS that's only been around since 9/11. Like, it's just in its infancy, and you're just gonna forget about the entire history of the United States and the Constitution, all the things that you're stepping on to even participate in this beast that's against the American people. And you're gonna like read that clause in there of like, oh, definite white supremacy, people who think that Jews are in a conspiracy to take over the world. And you read that and you say like, wow, that's so mean. Who would think that? That is hateful. Well, the people that you're supporting are the enemies of the Jewish people and the enemies of America. Even if most Jews don't know that. Enough of that. Now we're talking about Jews a lot. I guess that's just par for the course. So the special operations has been put under the command of Miller, Secretary of Defense Miller, instead of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Now I do know some folks in special operations. I haven't contacted them for a year, so I'm not going to contact them because obviously with the stuff that I talk about, I don't want to put heat on them, and so I'm just not. There's no reason to contact them, right? It'd be selfish of me. I'm not going to do that. So I'm not in contact with anybody that's in a squadron or SF or anything like that. I don't know anybody on a SEAL team personally, like in a personal capacity. I don't know anybody. So I have no idea what the situation is in special operations. Does anybody know anybody on a team or anything like that has an idea of like, do they have any idea what's going on here, or like how fucking redline this shit is, or what? If they know what's going on, ask them if they know. I just fucking said, Dark, drink some fucking coffee or something. Yeah, you got to. I mean, if you're on a team right now, I mean, you are directly under control of a Cohen. Like, are the team guys like, are they like fucking like shitting in their pants right now? Because I would be. Or I would at least be like fucking like stressed. They're clueless. Yeah, I figured they're fucking clueless. Yeah, it's gonna be bad. Hopefully at some point, maybe when they're like gunning down, fucking shooting American citizens in the head, maybe one or two of them will click and they'll be like, wait, this is not worth it. Hopefully. Ben asked, does that type even pay attention to politics? Yeah, and they fucking love fucking running the circles in the tracks. They love it. They fucking eat that shit up. I mean, it's really frustrating. Like, I used to talk to a squadron guy a lot, and I really respect him, but man, it was like incredibly frustrating trying to say anything. Like, you would say something, and it would just be like, you could tell it was just like, it was almost like, well, I was in squadron, so like I have special information, so let me enlighten you on the special information. And then they'll tell you some shit that's just like, not only is it dated, like, you know, in terms of cutting edge bullshit propaganda, they're like a couple weeks behind of like whatever the bullshit propaganda that's coming down the pipe. They're not on the edge of the bullshit propaganda. They have no clue, like the reality. No clue. Obviously, whatever this takes, however this takes form, obviously there has to be a major event to galvanize the identity in the minds of like DHS and anyone that's in the national security apparatus to believe that there is a domestic threat in the United States within the American population, and that that domestic threat is against the Constitution. That's the only way that they can do it. So what does that mean? That means that you have to be constitutional as fuck, right? And hold them to account on the Constitution, which they're already violating in the first place. But you have to continue to do that. And then, you know, I mean, I just don't know. I don't know how you would wake anybody up other than just like bitter fighting. You know, like when they start coming through and hitting people, when they start coming through and killing innocent people, you have to hit them back, somebody, wherever it's possible, and you gotta hit them hard as fuck. And then, like, eventually in bitter fighting, you know, when they're like, you know, we get to the point where we're all cutting each other's dicks off and stuff with fucking Gerber knives and stuff. Then eventually somebody will maybe get to the point where they're like, wait, we're being run by a bunch of fucking banks and they've destroyed the country, and I'm trying to hold on to my, you know, I don't want to let go of my fucking Cody fucking thermal overlays because I can't afford that shit myself, and so I want to keep getting issued this gear so I can make gay fucking movies that shouldn't be made in the first place, that pump up my ego and distort the fucking idea of special operations, and, you know, fucking dishonor the entire American military service. And you know, I don't want to let go of any of that stuff. So, you know, I just never saw it. I never realized how fucked things are. You want me to talk about what are you talking about? You want me to talk about like the Great Reset, like the banks talk about it? Is that what you're saying? I mean, it's such a huge topic. I mean, I wouldn't talk about it. So, okay. Well, try not to cuss then. Okay. So, this is what I would say about the Great Reset. So, the Great Reset is a brand term, just like when they come up with a brand like, you know, Kellogg's brand cornflakes, where it has an image and an idea associated with it through that's compounded through the word that they choose. Great Reset. When they expend energy to tell the people who they are reliant on for power, because the people that are really in power, they rely on families and innocent regular people that make up the world to manifest their power. And so everything has to be sold to the people. And so the term the Great Reset, even though they talk about it on the internet in a lot of ways that are seem like you're looking under the curtain, like you're really getting to the bottom of this thing and exposing some truths and things like that. You have to understand that this is all a sale, you know, and it can be kind of complex in something like this because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, or it can seem to be counterintuitive of why they would want to show something that's underhand. It's it's preparatory to gradually shift people into accepting something as that it's not worth fighting for. So they give up. And this is a common thing now in the current generations, in the youngest generations, is to give up before they even start. Now, the reason why this is the case is because when you're on a path and you can choose different paths from the origin path that you start on that end up in different places, the only path that you really can't ever take is the one that you'll never look at. You know, if you don't see a path that trails off to the side and you walk past it because you weren't looking for it and you were looking in a different direction, then you miss that path. And this is the essence of why there are brand names, buzzwords like the Great Reset, because they want to give you some truth so that you keep your eyes on the prize and you miss all of the opportunities that you had in the meantime, and you find yourself in a place where it seems like there is no other option. Like you can't go backwards on a trail. Like you can't forge a new path where you just turn 90 degrees and just start blazing through the bushes and take every briar and thorn with you and get cuts and scrapes and blaze your own path. They don't want you to ever think about that. They want you to only think about the path that's set. Now, in terms of the application of the Great Reset, there are some major principles. The first one, the control mechanism, is monetary. It's money. And it always has been. Without money, there is no consolidation. There is no way to motivate a nation to work against a nation, or a people against a people, or a brother against a brother. And so the money is the only way to accomplish this. And so money is of primal importance and is the correct attribution of the center of the energy, that the lifeblood that causes this entire fiasco that we've been a part of, that we've witnessed and will continue to witness. Money is at the center of it. So it is of the most importance. And in the future, what has to be done is money needs to be completely under control in a new way, where there is no room for anonymous spending, where there is no room to stockpile anything or to work against the system, where everything is looked at, everything is seen, where there is no tier or level of surveillance of spending through finance at any magnitude that will go unnoticed, whether a person is buying things or a company or a nation. So there is no anonymity at all in spending. So the money itself is like a surveillance camera, so that it can paint maps of what's going on with the money, of what's being done with it, what is being bought. And from knowing what is being bought, knowing what a person is up to. And this is the future of money. At this point, any appeal to society to come up with a solution with this is obviously going to fail, because this is the way the society is built foundationally from the ground up is already dependent on this stream of energy that will be shifted into this new model. And so appealing to society, like appealing to a government or, anyone that is reliant on the very system that you're trying to fight, is obviously a no-win situation. And they don't have a choice, It's like expecting someone to commit suicide or something, Like you're not going to get them to do it. They require the energy from the system to perpetuate, to continue. And so they're not going to work against it, even if individuals within systems feel morally obligated to work against it. In the aggregate, in terms of the system and how it's going to be kept alive, the energy source is going to win out. The only way that you can get around this whole thing is by ditching money. And that's it. Now, we're not anywhere near that. We're nowhere close to that. And that is not a concept that anyone is comfortable with. And so it's not going to happen. For now. It'll happen eventually. It's not going to happen now. And because it's not going to happen, what that means is that even though you're going to push and scream and shout and shake to try to avoid the consequences of what's coming, it's a waste of energy because you're not willing to confront what the actual source of this is. And when you don't do that, it'll just keep coming. It's like a conveyor belt that just doesn't stop. It runs 24/7. And any energy that you put in to like disassemble the conveyor belt is just going to be put back together, and it's just going to come even faster and harder until you're defeated. And that's it, you know? Like you have to get out of the fucking factory with a conveyor belt in it. You don't need to be standing in front of a conveyor belt that's dropping bricks on you. You need to get the fuck out of there. You have a whole excuse my language. You need to get the hell out of there because you don't need bricks dropped on you. And why are you even in the factory in the first place? Is your life about factory? Do you want to live your whole life staring at concrete floor and corrugated metal walls and, you know, cast equipment and wires and freaking fluorescent lighting? No, it's not the purpose of your life. It shouldn't even be there, right? Why are you there? Because you've been maneuvered tactically into having no choice and it being your best option for living in the way that you see fit. You need to make changes in your life in the way that you have expectations, and no one's going to do it for you. And if you don't want to do it, then you'll have to take the consequences of what's coming. And there's no free bucket. It's not like you just get something for nothing. If you don't make the changes, then you're going to get what you bought. And you bought a big ticket. You're going to take a big ride. Special operations needs to wake the fuck up. You guys need to wake the fuck up. Look, special operations and LE in any capacity, you guys need to wake the fuck up. You don't have to agree with everything that I'm saying. You should recognize that something is seriously fucked up in the world, and particularly in the United States, and all of America needs help. They need help. They don't need help from your bosses. They need help from you. From you. Not from your bosses, not from the bureaucrats. They're the problem. The American people need help desperately from the actual people that are Americans. Don't take the paycheck. Stop taking the paycheck. We need fucking help. Please. We need to be free. We want our Constitution. Is it realistic that we could even ask for it at this point? No, because we don't have any cards. It's silly to ask for something when the person that would grant it to you doesn't even have they're not even necessitated to do so. The only thing that's going to necessitate them to do so is you. Oh, thanks for that, George Soros. George Soros says, LEOs are literally corporate PMCs. They have no mandate nor desire to protect anyone but their masters. Oh, thanks. Thanks for that. Yeah, I guess we should just, in the fucking stream, just tell all LEO to just go fuck themselves. Same thing with special operations. I mean, what are you, retarded? Like, how the fuck is it going to help anybody if you say that? You want to try to, you have to still try to wake them up. If all of you fuckers would do it together, they'd fucking have a better chance of listening. If nobody does it and you tell them to go fuck off, they're definitely not gonna fucking wake up. I mean, come on. Yeah, it's always worth it. The effort is always worth it. Even if you fail, you guys need to get over the idea of like 100%. Like, if I don't 100% achieve my goal, then like I'm a failure and like I didn't do good and I can't post it on Instagram. Like, life is not 100%. Everything is fucking failure, you know? Everything that's worth anything comes from failure. It's always worth it. Even if it's not going to succeed, it's always fucking worth it. That's right. Knowledge from failure, experience from failure, true experience, right? The truth. Failure is truth. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter if you lose. There are no lost causes. There's only forfeiture. When you forfeit something before you even start, it's the same as turning away from a path that you could have taken and taking an easier path. There is no failure. It doesn't even exist. If you have an idea that is your ethic, and if it is ethic, and if it is at the base of your foundation, and you say, truth is justice, and truth is righteousness, and then you pursue truth, but you fail and you're destroyed in the process, does that make it not so the nature of truth? Does it make it anything less? It doesn't. It still is. And by clinging to it, you are actualizing it. Oh, I just got booted. Yep, sorry, I got booted there. They didn't like that. They didn't like talking about truth. So anyway, if you follow truth and if you're destroyed in the process, it doesn't you actualize it by following it. It is your bridge and your shield. It's the only thing that you have. It's the only thing that's true. Think about it. It's the only thing that you could have. If you live in a world of deceit and despair, the only thing that you have is truth. That's it. If you focus on things that aren't real in order to try to survive, when you put survival first, you abandon truth. And then you have nothing. Because not only do you lose truth, you also lose all the things that you thought you were going to get that you were never going to get in the first place. That were never yours. That were never going to be yours. You just didn't know it. And you lose the only thing that you could have had. And just in that same way, that is the way that all honor and strength is made. Honor is not something that is possessed at like a fucking t-shirt or a tattoo or something like that. It's not something that you possess and wield. It is something that you reflect. It's from another place. You reflect it. When you stand for truth, when you embody truth, it's not you, it's truth. You're just passing it on. And that's why it is so powerful, because it's not you, because humanity is weak. And when you become larger than life, it's because you are a conduit for something else that exists somewhere else. And that's why through the generations, people will see some embodiment in their own sight. They'll recognize some kind of embodiment of honor or truth. Well, you're not going to be anybody big at all if you sit down when the stakes are high, when it's time to lose. You're not going to be anybody bigger than exactly who you are if you give up because the going gets rough and because it's easier to concede. The only thing that you have is truth, right? Never walk back on truth. It's the only thing you have. Truth is thy shield. All right. You guys have a great night. I love you. Have fun.